Hello everyone, this is Yana Smakula for SimonsSTM.com. Welcome back for another Yippee for Yana episode. In this video, we are making one-layer cards. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it because I'm not a one-layer cards person, but for this video, I decided it was time to go back to this classic technique or classic card design and do some one-layer cards. We're also going to be doing some watercoloring, also something that I haven't done in a very, very long time, and I hope you'll join me. So let's go ahead and get started. The stamp set I'm working with today, it actually something that inspired this whole set of cards. This is the Nostalgic Christmas set. It is so beautiful. There are so many beautiful images in this set, and if you still haven't purchased a Christmas set this year, this might be it because it will allow you to create a whole bunch of different card designs. I'm just going to show you one card design in this video, but you can do a lot with this set. And also there is a set of coordinating dies available, so check that out as well. I'm not using the dies, just using the stamps today because again, this is almost a one-layer card. Well, we're going to call it a one-layer card, but yeah, check out the coordinating dies as well. So first, I'm going to do some stamping. I want to watercolor this image. You can color it any way you want. You can use colored pencils, Copic, or alcohol markers. I wanted to do watercolor because, I don't know, this image kind of spoke, it kind of said to me, you know, I want to be watercolored, and this is what I did. When you plan to do watercolor, paper is very important. You need to make sure you use watercolor paper because this is going to give you the best results. I couldn't find watercolor paper in my stash, but I did find a Better Press cardstock from Spellbinders. In Better Press cardstock, it is 100% cotton paper. And watercolor paper is exactly that. It is 100% cotton paper. Well, not all watercolor paper is like that, but good quality, high quality watercolor paper is 100% cotton. So I thought I might as well use Better Press cardstock for these cards, for this stamping, and watercolor my images on this cardstock. I used my Misty stamping tool and the Simons STM Versaclear Nocturne ink, and I stamped images onto my panels. These are cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I will trim them down just a teeny tiny bit before the final step of this card making process, before I add them onto my card base. But for the most part, that's the size that I'm working with. I'm going to use Karin Brushmarkers and color these. I bring the lid of each of the marker closer to my camera so that you can see the colors, the exact colors that I'm using. But in general, I'm going with a traditional Christmas color combination, red and green. I'm coloring mostly with these markers. You can also bring a water brush or a brush and a bucket of water and do additional watercoloring if you want. I do very simple coloring here. This is why I actually like this image, because the image is very detailed. You have little details, little shadows, little highlights added here. And when you have an image like that, you really don't need to spend a whole lot of time coloring because it already has all of the detail. You just need to add pops of color. You don't even need to be very precise. You don't need to, color exactly between the lines. You might leave some white spaces, white gaps, and it's still going to look amazing. If you look closely on the finished card photos, if you zoom in, you can see that my coloring is not perfect. And I was not aiming to do perfect coloring. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to do simple coloring. I wanted to enjoy the process. And at the same time, I wanted to create several cards. This type of design is very, very easy to mass produce. One card took me about 10 minutes to color. It's that easy. And when you look at it, it looks beautiful. It looks stunning. It looks like it took a lot longer than that. The card itself probably took about 15 minutes to make, but I was, mass producing. I stamped a whole bunch of cards or a whole bunch of panels at once. I colored a whole bunch of panels at once, so really it didn't even take that long. I'm using browns to color the cute little teddy bear, but you can also experiment with colors. And the teddy bear could be white. You could use a brown marker, like a light brown, to add a little bit of shading to the white teddy bear, or it can be a pink teddy bear or like a blue teddy bear. So many things you can do, but like I said, I wanted super simple, super traditional color combination. I did struggle with the colors for the gift. That's something I wasn't sure about, but then in the end, I decided to go with the exact same colors that I was using before. So a lot of red, a lot of green, and just a little bit of off-white color, like a pale yellow. I don't have a lot of different colors in my Karin brush markers. I only have a handful of markers. So most of the time when I color, and if I don't have a specific shade, like I don't have a shade of green that I really like, I just go ahead and mix and match different shades until I'm happy with the final shade. So here you can see I use this like bright green to color the Christmas tree, and it doesn't quite look, it doesn't look good. So I'm coming in with a different shade of green, and I'm adding some shading, and I'm even introducing a third shade of green color to make this tree a more suitable green color for a Christmas card. If you don't have watercolors, you can as easily color this with pencils, with alcohol markers, or you could even ink blend this if you wanted to. Lots you can do. And I encourage you to do what you like doing the most. I haven't done watercolor in a long time, and I figured it was time to give it a try. Now, I wanted to add some shading at the very base of the tree to help ground it. I don't have any gray Karin brush markers, but I do have pencils. So I grabbed my Polychromos pencils from Faber-Castell, a light and a medium brown, and I just added a little bit of shading under the tree. And here I have my panels all colored. I'm going to add a sentiment at the base of each panel. The sentiment that I'm using does not come from the Nostalgic Christmas set, although there are several sentiments included in this set. The sentiments that I am using come from the Tree Played Greetings set from Kathy Zilski. I really like the sentiments in that set. Those are nice and skinny strip sentiments, and I like skinny strip sentiments. So here I'm just stamping very, very merry at the base of each of my panels. And then I'm going to stamp Christmas on the inside of my card. So the sentiment on the card is going to say, very, very Merry Christmas. Very simple. You could do a different sentiment. You could maybe heat emboss a sentiment, cut it out, and pop it onto a card. I considered doing that. But I wanted to keep this card a one layer, minimal effort, but wow results. So I stamped the sentiment onto all of my panels, and next we can start assembling our card bases. Here I have red cardstock and a paper trimmer, and I'm just going to trim little strips. These are a little less than 1/4 inch wide. They are 4 1/4 inches long, and I'm using these strips to add just a teeny tiny pop of red at the base of each card base. I have card bases. These are A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. These are top folding card bases. I'm adding a little strip of double-sided adhesive tape at the base of the card base. I'm going to stick those red strips at the bottom there. I considered using an airmail stripe stencil or stamp and stamping something like an airmail border for my card, but I couldn't find anything suitable in my stash, so I decided not to overcomplicate things and just stick to those little red strips. A little red strip can really do a lot to a design. I have a lot of red happening on my card already, and this red strip sort of helps tie everything together. I'm not adding a whole big panel of red cardstock because I want to keep the weight of these cards to a minimum. I want to actually mail them, so I'm conscious about the weight of the card and the amount of cardstock that I have here. So adding a little red strip works really well. I did trim each of my panels, each of my stamped and watercolored panels down slightly. Again, I trimmed them a little less than 1/4 inch, and I trimmed them from the top, probably like 1/8 of an inch. I used a tape runner and I adhered them to the front of my card bases, and that finished my cards. Very easy to make, yet they look stunning and beautiful. I made 4, but I could have as easily made 20, and it would not have taken me a very long time. I enjoyed creating these projects. I really had a wonderful time going back to one of my favorite techniques, watercolors. It's been a while since I've done any watercolor, and I really enjoy the process. So here's a look at the projects I have for you today. My easy 1-layer mass-producible Christmas cards. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you again next time.